Welcome to episode 28 of Two Guys, One Sport. My name is Chris.
Brother Chris, happy Friday. How was your week, my friend?
Happy Friday, Brother George. My week was good. I had actually a pretty tolerable week at work, surprisingly enough. It's
like
rare.
it.
It's rare that those happen for me, where I don't have a day where I'm just like overloaded and crazed with stuff. So overall, can't complain. How was your week?
Nice. It was we moved desks. Now I have 3 monitors at work, which, by the way, if you are not part of the multiple monitor club, you should be, because it's pretty great.
Multiple monitor club is the best club.
We have 3, and they hang from like a tree, right? So there's like a big stick coming out of the ground, and they hang 3 monitors from it, right?
Yep.
I had them set up perfectly, and then we moved desks, and the monitors don't move. And I spent like 2 hours trying to figure out exactly how to get them set up to where they were, so they'd be at the right eye level and the right screen resolution. So this is a really, really first world problems. So the highlight of my week was spending like an hour and a half fucking with my monitors.
Well, at least did you at least get it where you wanted? Did you at least get it to where you wanted it to be?
I got it close enough. I have OCD when it comes to the height, so like all 3 had to be the exact same height.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, otherwise it would annoy me. But I figured it out. We're good. Ready to rock and roll. I was able to actually watch my match of the week on one of the monitors to make sure that they worked. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well. Nice segue there.
Boss took a half day. Boss took a half day today, so I could watch wrestling this afternoon.
Nice. Good stuff. That's a good segue for us because we're going right into our matches of the week. Do you want to start or should I?
Sure. Why not? My match of the week is, we don't talk a lot about TNA GFW.
Yeah.
Little TNA GFW. This is from 2008. It is Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe at the main event of Lockdown.
Okay.
This match, I think they had one on an Impact from 2010 that may be a little better in a vacuum, but this match was pretty great. It's a very MMA feel, so very young, or I guess you could say old, like watching young Minoru Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
Comes out in boxing trunks instead of his usual singlet, which is a good call because the singlet made him look really scrawny because he lost a ton of weight, lost a ton of mass. So he was wearing the singlet. He looked kind of like a teenager. You know, like you sometimes see the kids who do freestyle wrestling in that wrestling singlet that Angle wears, and they look so small because they're like 15.
Mm-hmm.
Look like it. So he wears boxing trunks, so it works. To start, Muay Thai clutches, takedowns, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Is very MMA based. Limb work. What's up? And it turns into a wrestling match. Some awesome mission reversal suplexes because it's Angle and Joe back before Angle was and Joe was broken down at all. So these 2 are just beating the crap out of each other.
Right.
Interesting submissions, cross faces by each guy, reversals, counter reversals. Like I said, very MMA. If you are a Volkan, which is, I don't know a name that you may know, Khan, or like I said, Volkan or Minoru Suzuki, or a fan of that Pancrase.
Oh, yeah. That one I know.
That style of wrestling that we've talked about, I think, a little bit in the past. You'll like this match. As clean as a sheet, by the way, which is surprising for TNA because, again, TNA main events almost never end clean as a sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Joe shoots him into the cage because it's a cage match with rope breaks, but whatever. You know how I feel about the rope breaks and no DQ matches?
Yeah, we went over this a bit, yeah.
Again, there would be a little, but not a ton. Into the cage, hits a super kick, hits a muscle buster, wins clean as a sheet.
Nice.
I like that they were trying to integrate MMA.
Mm-hmm.
Should be used to tell a story. There's a reason why pro wrestling is pro wrestling and MMA is MMA. Pro wrestling matches to tell a story and to entertain a crowd. It is to win. That's why one's a match and one's a fight.
Right.
They serve different masters. Like an MMA fighter can have the most boring fight, but as long as they win, they're happy. Whereas a boring wrestling match is just a bad wrestling match. Yeah. So that was kind of weird. before they were broken down. So the match only could be so bad. You know what I'm saying? Easy 4 stars. I think I'd go maybe 4 stars. Would recommend if you're looking for something to watch, some random TNA match. It's on YouTube, or at least it was. If you did dig up Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe from Lockdown 2008.
Nice. All right. My match of the week. This is going to be a bit of a long one because there's some history to it. So
go for it.
Yeah. So, question first. Do you remember where you were, or what you were doing, or who you were with on January 30th, 2016?
January 3rd. Don't tell me about this date. January 30th, 2016. Let me see. I was single, so I wouldn't be with my ex. Let's see. Watching the Royal Rumble, is that what that's from?
No. I don't think you actually would have been able to see this match live.
30th, 2016. I would be either at work or at my mom's house watching wrestling. So, but probably not this match.
No.
Royal Rumble, then I can't place it.
No. Well, you wouldn't be able to unless you had seen it. And I do not remember at all what I was doing on January 30th, 2016. But I know one man who will never forget this date. And that man is Mr. Shinsuke Nakamura, because this match is not only his final match in New Japan Pro Wrestling, but it is his final date of employment with New Japan Pro Wrestling before coming to the United States to start his tenure with WWE. And it is a 6-man tag match at Korakuen Hall from a house show, basically. A house show at Korakuen Hall. It is on one side, Shinsuke Nakamura, IWGP Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada, and Tomohiro Ishii, versus, on the other side, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Never Openweight Champion Katsuyori Shibata, and Hiroki Goto. 6-man tag match comprising basically the 6 biggest names in New Japan Pro Wrestling, or 6 biggest Japanese names in New Japan Pro Wrestling of the past decade. I would estimate.
I remember this match mostly because it ends and they play Subconscious over and over again, and Subconscious, R.I.P. Skypoint, is one of the best entrance musics of all time.
Yes.
But go on.
Yeah. So the history to this match, basically, as we all know, January 4th, Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles had a hellacious match for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. And that very same night after the event was over, Styles, Nakamura, Carl Anderson, and Doc Gallows all basically gave their notice to New Japan and said, we're leaving, we're heading to WWE. And that was that. So Styles left immediately and had his debut in the Royal... that's not true. They had the big moments the following night at New Year's Dash, where they lost the match, and then Omega and the Young Bucks beat down AJ and then sent him packing. Omega declared himself leader of the Bullet Club, on and on and on. And during that speech where Omega declared himself leader of the Bullet Club, he called out Nakamura for the Intercontinental belt. And obviously Styles went off and had his big debut at the Royal Rumble. The rest is history there. So Omega and Nakamura is considered to be on the table. Tanahashi also makes it clear that he wants a shot at Nakamura on his way out the door, and he wants it for the belt. So we've got 2 guys who both saying that they want the belt. And Kidani says, nope, neither one of you get it. We're stripping him of the title, and after he leaves, then we'll have something to figure out who the winner is going to be. So Nakamura drops the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. There is no, it becomes vacant. And there is no big final title match to end Nakamura's tenure with the belt, which in my estimation is still a bit of a mistake on Kidani's part, but that's neither here nor there. So going into this 6-man tag match, Tanahashi was in storyline feeling very resentful to Nakamura for not giving him that big final match, the big send-off match where Tanahashi could try to be triumphant over Nakamura there to end his time there. And that's not all. There are 2 other feuds going on here. Now, I mentioned Hiroki Goto being on the opposing team. This is obviously before Hiroki Goto decided to shake Okada's hand and join Chaos. This was when Goto was still independent, running by himself Goto, still bitter and feeling resentful and feeling like he wasn't being given a fair shake, and that everybody underestimated him and all these other things. So he was going after Okada, and he really wanted to prove himself by winning the title from Okada, because Okada had just had his big crowning moment at Wrestle Kingdom also from beating Tanahashi in the main event. And then the last two guys, Shibata and Ishii, were both also feuding with each other over the Never Openweight Championship. Really not a whole lot to report there in terms of history, just because those two guys, there's not really much to say other than they like to hit each other a lot.
Yes.
Well, really, they just like to hit anybody a lot. That's really
yes. They like hitting things.
Yeah. So we get into this is the main event at this show at Korakuen Hall. The two teams are introduced. Nakamura is introduced last. I have never heard anybody cheered this loudly at Korakuen as loudly as Shinsuke was cheered for this match. The entire crowd all chanting his name, everybody on their feet cheering for him. Like it was nuts. And they took a photo before the match of the three Chaos guys, and you could tell Nakamura was definitely feeling his emotions there in that moment. He was feeling it. He knew this was the end of the era. So we get to the beginning of the match, and Tanahashi immediately steps out and wants to start against Nakamura. Goto backs him off. Shibata steps up and wants to start against Nakamura. Goto backs him off and calls out Okada. And let me tell you something. If you ever want to know what Roman Reigns feels like walking into an arena and getting booed by the whole crowd, watch this for perspective. Watch this and watch as the crowd immediately turns on Hiroki Goto, and the whole match, everything he does gets booed because he didn't give the crowd that big opening moment of Tanahashi Nakamura to start the match.
Good heat. I like it.
Got that heat.
I like it.
It was so good. So Goto and Okada start the match, and for a stable that's supposed to be, by all technical definition, a heel stable, Chaos got all the cheers this whole match. Like it was wild. Like Ishii, Okada, Nakamura, whichever one of them was in the ring, their names were getting chanted here. Shibata and Tanahashi got mixed reactions here and there, and Goto was just straight out hated. That was that.
Nice. Good heat, Goto. I approve.
Yeah. So Goto and Okada go at it for a bit. They trade some shots, then tag in Shibata and Ishii, and probably one of my favorite moments of just pure no selling strike exchanges is Shibata and Ishii going back and forth with each other with chops and forearms and chops and forearms. Both of them just one hits the other one and the other one just yeah, come on, hit me again. They just go back and forth like that. And then Nakamura and Tanahashi get tagged in, and this place goes berserk cheering for Nakamura. They were just, like I said, just crazy for this guy. It really is the best indicator of just how over Shinsuke was in New Japan. He could garner a crowd to do whatever he wanted with the simplest of things. And all it took for him was just getting into the ring and just giving Tanahashi a look. Just that one look of all right, let's do this. And the whole crowd was just into it immediately. The subtlest stuff from Nakamura gets the biggest reactions. It was so good. The match breaks down from there. I mean, it goes. It's like a 20-minute six-man tag, but it was a great 20-minute six-man tag. Just back and forth. Lots of trading of who's on top in each moment. This might be the only time I've ever seen the High Fly Flow get booed as Tanahashi's jumping over the rope and climbing to the top.
Speaking of great entrance music, R.I.P. to High Energy from this match.
Anyway,
although Go 8's starting to slowly grow on me.
Yes!
I think that may be a little bit of Stockholm syndrome. To be honest.
Love and Energy is a good song. I don't care what you say. It's good.
Yeah, it's starting to grow on me. But High Energy is just awesome.
Yeah.
When you're at the gym and High Energy comes on, you're like, yeah, I'm going to knock out another set and it's going to be great.
I'm just going to give you the entire discography of Dragon Force then, because High Energy reminds me of Dragon Force every time I listen to it now.
Every New Japan theme is basically, let's add more metal.
Yeah, essentially that, yeah. So Tanahashi goes up, tries to hit the high fly flow, and winds up again eating Nakamura's knees instead, because Nakamura gets the knees up. More back and forth. Eventually, it's Ishii and Shibata trading strikes again. Shibata has Ishii down and he goes for his big corner drop kick. Nakamura comes in, hits him with the Bomaye, motions to Ishii, gets him up. Ishii hits the vertical drop brainbuster, and Chaos wins the match, as you could expect. Now, as the match ends, Okada and Goto just start brawling, like just going at, just pummeling each other's heads. And Goto has to be restrained by the Young Lions and basically dragged to the back. And as he's getting dragged to the back, who walks out but Kenny Omega?
Ooh.
Comes to ringside, grabs the microphone and says, "Cut the crap." And then he basically just starts mocking Nakamura and saying, "Oh, this is your graduation. This is a big moment for you. Everybody's happy. Why don't you tell the truth and tell everyone that you're leaving because you're scared and you want to face me?" At this point, he's up on the apron and like trying to get into Nakamura's face. And Tanahashi steps in his face. Tanahashi gets between Nakamura and Omega and lets off a blast of Japanese and ends it with basically saying, "I am Ace." And I am not certain what the blast of Japanese is, but basically I think it's him saying, yes, Nakamura's leaving, but now that he's leaving, here's what you need to know. I am Ace. And that sets up the feud between the two of them for the IC title that followed. So so Omega leaves, everybody else clears the ring. Nakamura gives his big goodbye speech. Okada and Ishii get in the ring, and they all trade handshakes. Geto's on the apron. He shakes Nakamura's hand as well. This post-match moment here really just goes to show that Okada and Nakamura had a really strong mentor-student relationship, because Okada is he is broken up about this. He is in tears the whole time. He's trying to hold it back. I posted a photo on my Twitter that you may have seen earlier in the week of Nakamura and Okada, and somebody commented on it saying that they look like they're judging, like they're giving judgmental looks, but really it's that they're both just so sad about the fact that Nakamura's leaving, and and the torch has officially been passed. And now it's Okada's time. So
I find it. Oh, go on. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off because I got thoughts. I have thoughts on New Japan now. You've caused my brain to start percolating.
Yeah. So Okada and Ishii and Geto leave. Nakamura, goes around ringside, gives everybody high fives, shakes everybody's hand, gives one more big moment and then everybody from Chaos comes back. And he gives handshakes to everybody in Chaos, like Geto, Jado, Okada, Ishii, Yoshihashi, Sakuraba. This was when Sakuraba was still in Chaos. I forget who else. Yano and Yano. So it's all the Japanese members of Chaos are all out there, and then Yoshihashi puts Nakamura up on his shoulders, then they go back to the outside, and Okada puts Nakamura up on his shoulders, and Okada basically carries Nakamura all the way around the ring and then back to the back on his shoulders, and that was the end of it. The only other thing is I want you guys to bookmark what I said about Tanahashi telling Omega, "I am Ace," because I'm going to come back to that later.
Okay.
So, your thoughts?
I find it amazing. Amazing is the wrong word, because if you think about it at the time, the vast majority of the people who were following wrestling were like, "Oh my God, what's New Japan going to do?" They just lost 2 main event single stars in AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, and their #1 heavyweight tag team in Gallows and Anderson, which included Carl Anderson, who's been with New Japan for a decade?
Yeah.
And who Gato loved both in and out of the ring.
Yeah.
And yet, in every single way, Brother Chris, they are demonstratively better off.
Yes.
The in-ring quality is as good as it has ever been. And I would put it below the 90s All Japan masterwork, but in that next tier.
Yeah.
Right now, because there's nothing's going to touch the 90s All Japan stuff. It's
that's like
we're never getting that again. We're never getting that storm again of those four guys who had such little disdain for their own well-being, and who could put on such great matches with themselves.
Exactly.
We're not, but we're in the tier below that in terms of excellent, consistent in-ring presentation, with the exception of the show, which we'll get to, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Their in-ring is better, losing AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
Their business is far better. We've talked about this. They sold out Sumo Hall 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
Which they never did.
Yeah,
before
it's amazing. It's amazing how they could do that.
We've seen the rise of Kenny Omega, right?
Yep.
We've seen the rise of Tetsuya Naito, as I wore my LIJ shirt.
Nice, good call.
I never would have worn. I put the shirt on for a reason this morning because I knew we were talking about wrestling. So I said I wore my LIJ shirt. Never in a million years would I have worn an LIJ shirt 2 years ago. Never in a million years. You wouldn't have seen it. But the exits of Nakamura and Styles forced them to push Omega, Naito, Shibata, RIP, Skypoint. Even the return of Suzuki-gun to freshen stuff up. They've for 18 months, every single permutation of the main event scene was some combination of Nakamura, Styles, Okada, and Tanahashi fighting each other. And the matches were great.
Yeah.
The matches were unbelievably great. But there's only so many times I can watch Styles slip out of a Rainmaker without it being boring. And now we've gotten to the point where New Japan is on fire. And I wonder if this exodus had something to do with it. In fact, I know this exodus had something to do with it because it forced Gato to freshen everything up without relying on the same stale tropes he'd been relying on.
And not only that, but it also forced different performers to step up.
Absolutely.
That whole, like, the LIJ was just, like, in its infancy at this point in time.
Yes.
Like, it was just Naito.
We talked about this when he won the G1 4 years ago. Naito was rejected before his excursion.
Yep.
By the New Japan crowd. He won the G1 in 2013. Nobody gave a shit.
Yep.
Kenny Omega was a comedy joke junior mid-card wrestler. Nobody gave a shit. He was partnering up with Ibushi and DDT, and nobody cared.
Yeah.
And now these guys are legitimate draws. They're legitimate main eventers. In fact, it's September. So start putting together in your brain a year-end award list because the year is ending before you know it.
Mm-hmm.
Our show ballot for the Observer is due in December.
Yeah.
Which means the cutoff is November 30th. So we're almost at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And
it's shocking how quickly that's by.
In professional wrestling right now, in terms of just putting asses in seats, are Okada, Omega, and Naito. In some order. I would put Okada number one, and then I will put the other two behind them in some form or fashion. If you told me a year and a half ago that Kenny Omega is going to be a draw, I'd call you crazy. Kenny Omega's coming to my town, and he's selling out a 6,000-seat stadium for Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
For Ring of Honor, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like, the only people who sell for Ring of Honor are Cody Rhodes, which is inexplicable, but more power to him, and the Young Bucks. Yep. Kenny Omega is headlining a show for Ring of Honor, and it's going to sell 6,000 to 7,000 people.
Yep.
You know how incredible that is to think about it in a short period of time? You know how many LIJ shirts you see in crowds at a short period of time? You know how many B-show tours Tetsuya Naito is sold out in big arenas at Osaka-jo Hall, at Dominion, right?
You want to know something funny? Like, have you noticed how on NXT and on the I don't know if you've watched the opening rounds of the Mae Young yet, but if you watch the recent episodes of NXT, you'll notice how they are starting to like dim the crowd lights on the crowd and only keep the lights up on the ring. Speculation.
Because when you look at an NXT,
because there are too many Bullet Club shirts in the crowd. No.
It's not only that. This, you may know this because you're a big metal punk guy. Riot Fest is this weekend in Chicago. It's a huge 3-day punk metal festival.
Yeah.
You should come. It's supposed to be awesome. Not my number one genre of music, but next year get your ass down here. We'll go to Riot Fest. It'll be a lot of fun. It's supposed to be a friend of mine who's there tweeted at me that within 30 minutes he saw 3 Bullet Club t-shirts at Riot Fest.
I don't doubt it.
Like it has become a cultural I don't want to say phenomenon because that's way too strong. A cultural meme outside of the world of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And as great as AJ was in the Bullet Club, Omega is taking them drawing wise to new heights. But I find it amazing that Okada, Omega, and Naito are 3 massive draws.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, 18 months ago, whatever it was, 2 of them were afterthoughts in the main event scene.
Absolutely.
Afterthoughts. One of them was a junior, which New Japan doesn't care about at all.
Exactly.
In terms of booking priorities. They don't care at all. And Naito was just kind of floundering around in the upper mid card. I mean, the WWE equivalent to 2015 Naito is probably Dean Ambrose in terms of position on the card. Cesaro, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Like,
just about.
It would be like if all of a sudden Sheamus became a main eventer and a draw at the same time. That's how strange it is.
Yeah. And we all know how unlikely that is given what happened when they put the belt on Sheamus. What was it?
Absolutely. But
2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. It would be that out of it'd be that much out of left field.
Yeah.
Is what has gone out. The Naito phenomena. You know, if I had the time, I would write something on Naito, like a nice big 10,000 word profile, just digging into his history, how his evolution as a character, how going on excursion helped him, because it just fascinates me how different he is now than he was even 3 years ago.
Yeah,
even 2 years ago.
Exactly.
And his dedication to the gimmick, the give no fucks gimmick, is amazing to the point where he's in submission holds. We talked about this at Dominion. He's in submission holds, and he's not even screaming because Tranquilo doesn't scream.
Yeah.
Like how...
It's beautiful.
But he came out of nowhere, though. Omega came out of nowhere. Shibata came out of nowhere. These guys were good hands, and they became draws.
Yep. It's amazing.
It is. Meanwhile, Nakamura and AJ are floundering, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
Nakamura more so than AJ.
Yes.
And Gallows and Anderson are tag team in WWE, which hasn't mattered since the early 1990s.
Yeah. So that is what it is. It's unfortunate.
So that's just amazing. I use the word amaze over and over, but if you told me on January 4th, 2016, New Japan would be better off in every way, shape, and form, I tell you full shit. And here we are. And here we are.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
It's a revelation.
So.
All right. So let's get into the meat of today's show, which is we're talking about who we think are the best in-ring workers in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
We both made lists. We both made top 20s. You might know.
Wait, before you go any further, set the parameters. You told me one, only in-ring mattered.
Yes, only in-ring mattered.
We don't care about draw or promos.
Yeah, we're not talking about any of that stuff. Yeah.
And 2, we're talking about on this date. So when you asked me, what, Tuesday, I think you asked me?
Yeah.
So it was on that date. Not who had the best year or the best 5 years or the best 10 years, but
it's who when you watch them go to the ring, it's what do you think that they're going to have the best, like an amazing caliber match, or do you think they're going to just have a mediocre match? What caliber performer do you expect them to be at on any given day? That's the expectation of it. So, so we both made lists, and I put out a poll on our Twitter feed, and I polled some other members of the community through other means. So I'll just go through the community polls, and overwhelmingly the results that we got back say the community believes AJ Styles to be the best in-ring worker in the world, followed closely by Kazuchika Okada. Not surprised at either of these answers, for the record. A few other names that that showed up of note. Hiromu Takahashi showed up on a couple of people's ballots. Roman Reigns showed up.
Hiromu Takahashi's on my ballot.
Yep. They're both on both of ours.
Okay.
Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and a few other outlier names. But overall, about who you would expect. But ranking is really the thing that really is going to be the defining moment of this. So without further ado, I'm going to read off what my top 5 were and what your top 5 were. And we will then discuss. So my top 5. AJ Styles, Kazuchika Okada, Io Shirai, Roman Reigns, Pete Dunne. And your top 5, Kazuchika Okada, Brock Lesnar, Tetsuya Naito, Tomohiro Ishii, and Keith Lee. So, first things first, Naito, or not Naito, Okada. Okada is very clearly an amazing talent. Like, can't say nothing about it.
If Kaz Okada is walking into the ring and he is facing anybody in the world, I am confident the match will be 4 stars. Do you know how I know that, brother? At least 4 stars.
Yeah.
And I know that because I just saw the G1 where he had 3.5 to 4-star matches with a variety of people and wrestled a variety of styles.
Yes.
Chris, my favorite match of the year is still Okada-Kojima. And Kojima's an old broken down son of a gun.
You love that match.
And Okada played heel. Yeah. And then against Kenny Omega, he played straight fire babyface.
Yeah.
And then against Bad Luck Fale, he played David to Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
And
it works.
And it worked. And it all worked. Nobody is more of a chameleon than Kaz Okada is in terms of adapting to his opponent. He is not Mr. Get My Shit In, which Kenny Omega is, and others are.
Mm-hmm.
Is what do you do well? I'm going to do this in result. And oh, by the way, he's not yet 30.
Yeah.
And I know we're not looking at long term, but good God, I mean, this run he is on is Flair-esque. and I'm talking mid '80s NWA WCW Flair. The Ric Flair who drags Kerry Von Erich to a 4-star match when Kerry Von Erich snorts half of Columbia in the back. That Ric Flair. That Ric Flair.
That's.
I mean, like he is all. If God forbid he gets into a plane crash tomorrow and never wrestles ever again, he's already one of the all-time best. And right now he is in his absolute peak as a professional wrestler. His versatility, and it's his ability to get shit done with just a couple strikes and a clothesline. He's Bob Dylan. You give 1960s Bob Dylan an acoustic guitar and a little background support, and he's putting out all-time classics.
Yep.
He's not playing fast. He's not landing on his head too often.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean. That's my number one. And to me, that was the easiest call on this list, was him in number 1. Easiest call.
Right.
So.
The only reason why I put him behind Styles, and this is like the minorest of minor gripes, like so insignificant and easily fixable for a guy at age 29. Like, and it is one that I've heard from a few people, and I've started to see it, but it's not consistent enough that it's a big thing. But his ground game needs a little bit of work, but not so much work that it's unwatchable.
What do you mean by ground game? Like
submissions and
okay.
Like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Grappling. Mat-based wrestling.
He's never going to be Minoru Suzuki.
Exactly.
I understand what you're saying.
So that kind of stuff, needs a little bit of work, but it's not a damning bit at all. Now, here's where I'm going to go back to what I said to Bookmark from my match of the week. So, Tanahashi went out there and said, "I am ace." Despite less than a month ago having lost to Okada in the Dome in what was supposed to be Okada's crowning moment. I think I have a theory as to why that is, and why Tanahashi is still out there in the main event, and why Tanahashi is wrestling through a torn bicep and is still in the main event or the a spotlight title seat week in and week out. There are currently 3 people in the world, well, 3 people that matter in the world, in my estimation. 3 people in the world that matter who do not believe Kaz Okada to be the ace of New Japan right now. One is Kenny Omega, and that's because he is so much of a mark for himself that he believes that he is the only one that can make New Japan an international sensation, and that he needs to be the guy at the top in order to get New Japan to be on the same level as WWE. And that's why
he's wrong. He's wrong, but I like the confidence. I like the confidence.
Yeah.
He's wrong. I like the confidence. I want my athletes, quote unquote, to walk with that kind of swagger, even though I hate that word with all my heart.
Yeah.
I like the confidence.
Yeah. So that's Omega, and that's an entirely different beast. The other 2 are Tanahashi and Kidani. Tanahashi doesn't believe that Okada is the ace because Tanahashi is dealing with a deep, deep, deep sense of self-doubt, where if he is not the guy at the top, that he is useless. If he is not carrying the company, that not only is he useless, but that the company will not be able to survive without him. Because he spent so long as the guy. He spent so long as the one that they could go to for anything and say, do this. And he could just plug into any scene, any feud, any title, anything, and just immediately make it a headline act. Because he was the rock star, because he was the guy. And now that Okada has come in and has made it known that, all right, I got this now. I can take the company on my back. Tanahashi's like, no. You're not ready yet. I have to keep doing this. Tanahashi's dealing with some deep self-doubt. On the other side of things, Kidani. That January 4th, that night when Okada was supposed to be crowned as the new guy. That January 4th, that night, Kidani had 4 of his top guys walk out on him. And he immediately had to sign Okada to a 200 million yen contract extension. But in the back of his mind, I am certain that Kidani is of the belief that if I don't keep giving Tanahashi that spotlight and that moment and that place in the sun that he's gotten used to over the years, he's going to walk out on me just like the rest of them did. And he's going to go over and sign with Vince. And he's going to show all of his skills over there, even at age 40, because even at age 40, Tanahashi is better than a lot of the guys in WWE who are 10 years younger than him. I am certain that Kidani is on the complete opposite wavelength of Tanahashi in believing that Tanahashi will leave if he's not in the spot, and Tanahashi is on the wavelength that New Japan will either not need him or will fall apart if he's not in the spot. And that's the only reason why we have Okada not being referred to as the ace, where commentary is still calling Tanahashi, quote, the eternal ace, and all that stuff. And why Tanahashi went out there and said in Kenny Omega's face, I am ace, even though less than a month ago, he had been dethroned as ace. That's my theory.
I think it's more the Tanahashi as midlife crisis dad that we've talked about. But I am here for Tanahashi and WWE. I am here for the banter. I am here for all of it. I don't know if we've discussed that on this show. I'm all in on Hiroshi Tanahashi in the WWE. That would be so great. I would be shocked if it happens at this point, especially given the relative flop, quote unquote, of Nakamura. Yeah. It scares Vince. I think that scares the powers that be a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. I love AJ Styles, as you know.
Yeah.
I had AJ Styles much lower on my list than you did. In fact, I think it may be our biggest separation in terms of 2 people who, maybe with a few exceptions. I'm looking at your list, and I see a few names on yours that aren't on mine at all, and vice versa. But I think Styles is the biggest jump of the no doubt abouters.
Yeah, Naito's the only one that has that big of a gap, and that's because I have him so much lower on my list than you have on yours.
We'll get the Styles on my list. I'll talk about him when we get to there. So,
yeah.
I love him. You know that. I love him.
Yeah, and I still pick AJ Styles as my number 1 because even though he's been underutilized and has been forced to drag some people who aren't worthy of his skills through some matches, he still can go out there and wow the shit out of you. This past Tuesday night, second best match of SmackDown Live was AJ Styles versus Ty Dillinger. There's Ty Dillinger, a guy who is at best a mid-card gatekeeper.
You still see it in matches. How good was the 6-minute AJ Styles Chad Gable match?
That was the other one I was going to talk about. Chad Gable versus AJ Styles. One of the best matches that I've seen in the past 3 months.
My problem is with AJ is a lot of it is not his fault. But we go by what we see, right? Yeah. Regardless of whose fault it is. When is the last... We have not had a great... I'm talking 4.5 plus match, a Styles match, in a long time. Now, a lot of it's not his fault. In fact, I would argue most of it isn't his fault. But we still have to go by with what's happened. So that's why I have him a little lower on my list.
I understand.
Only because, and again, that's most of it's not his fault. He's being unfairly punished. Uncle Aller is still my guy. But I'm dinging you a little bit on my list because you had to drag fat Kevin Owens to mediocrity.
Yeah, Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles. If you had told me 2 years ago that Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles would be a low point of AJ Styles' year, I would have laughed in your face and said, "What the fuck are you smoking?" But
we have words. We have words about Kevin Owens, so we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So yeah, my number 2. Oh, you want so?
No, I want to talk about your number 2 here, going to Brock Lesnar, because I got a couple of questions for you on this one. Yeah. So, you offer your defense first.
He has had we talk, and again we talk about the past, right? We go by the past. He has had 3 singles matches this year that were televised. I don't count the house show matches against Samoa Joe because it's a house show. Who gives a shit? To be honest, right?
Yeah.
I'm not counting the Rumble because it's the Rumble, and he was in it for like 3 minutes. Remember?
Exactly. Yeah.
He's had 3 singles matches this year. WrestleMania versus Bill Goldberg. I shouldn't say singles. He's had 3 matches this year. Not even singles, matches. WrestleMania against Bill Goldberg, the one before SummerSlam against Samoa Joe, and the SummerSlam Fatal 4-Way. Yes. That's the only 3 televised matches he's had this year. All 3 of those matches, I went 4.5 stars or higher. I went 4.5 stars in WrestleMania. I went 4.5 stars against Samoa Joe. I went 4 3/4 stars at the SummerSlam. And not only that, and you say, "Oh, who cares about stars?" Everything is different when Brock Lesnar is on your screen when you're watching WWE. Everything feels bigger. He is the best seller in the company. He's maybe the best seller in the world. We talked about this. Remember the Samoa Joe match where Joe jumps him before the match, and lays him out on tape, crawls back in the ring, and he waves Paul Heyman off with his hands, and he pulls himself up, and he smiles, a little half Brock smile. You tagged me, you son of a bitch. Yeah. Like that is just amazing work. If I get gives a fuck Brock Lesnar, and we've gotten gives a fuck Brock Lesnar all year. We haven't gotten a mail job yet. And again, I can't comment on house shows because it's a house show. Who cares? To be honest,
house shows don't exist.
If we get gives a fuck Brock Lesnar, the only person in the world whose wrestling I would enjoy more is Kaz Okada, which is why Kaz Okada is my number 1 and Brock Lesnar my number 2.
Okay, fair.
I love everything this guy is doing right now. He's having the best run of his career. Mm-hmm. Easily the best run of his post-comeback career. I mean, the early stuff where he was just an absolute... I don't know if you may not have been watching them, like the 02-03 Brock Lesnar, when he's just manhandling young Matt Hardy and young Jeff Hardy and fighting The Rock. As I think was one of my matches this week was a SummerSlam versus The Rock. Like, that stuff is just out of this world because he combines all of that. But this is the Lion in Winter Brock Lesnar, Brock we have now, who's just this giant hulking behemoth fighting with both hands to keep the young guns away from his castle. Like, that's the Brock Lesnar I love, who's the champ, and he knows it. But you know what? It gets a little bit harder to get up every morning than it used to 15 years ago. But he's still all aura. He's still all intimidation. And you know what? Nowadays, now that they're booking him the way they should be, every single Brock Lesnar match is not only different, Chris, they're all events. They're all must-see events, as long as he cares. And there have been times where he has not cared. Believe me. He did not give two shits during the Triple H feud. Didn't care one iota. So, and God willing, it continues all the way to and through WrestleMania, when he can go off and he can go be cage fighter again and do whatever the hell he wants to.
Right.
But as long as we get him focused and caring, I mean, this is something else. The only person who entertains me more in the ring right now is Kazuchika, which is why Brock's my number 2 behind him. So,
all right.
Your questions. Good questions.
Yeah. All right. So first of all, now this may I know you're likely to say this doesn't matter because we're talking about what is versus what hypothetically could be, but I have to wonder, would Brock Lesnar be able to maintain this level of work if he were working more than 3 matches over the course of 9 months?
I have no idea. I doubt it, because part of the reason why he's such an awesome seller is because A, he's an awesome seller, but B, he never does it, so it feels like a big deal.
Right.
Like he never part of the, and to me the selling is one of the biggest parts of his act. Part of the reason why he's so good at it is A, because he's really good at it, which always helps, and B, because holy shit, Brock's in pain is something that happens like 5 times a year.
Yeah.
So it's still a big deal.
Yes. 100%.
Like so if he's doing this shit every week, and a lot of his shit is mystique, and a lot of that mystique would be demolished if he was in some random tag match on Raw at the top of the 3rd hour.
No doubt, absolutely.
So, no, it's a very special. So it's a very special circumstance.
Right.
So yeah, no. If he was doing this, if he was full time, 52 weeks a year, I don't know. I'd put him 16, 17. You know, maybe off the top of my head. But right now, special attraction Brock Lesnar, like who shows up 5 times a year or 3 times a year as this year so far. I mean, he's probably got what? 1 more match this year on TV at Survivor Series?
Well, no, he's facing Braun for the title.
Okay, Braun and then one more after that.
Yeah.
Probably to close out his year. So, because there's no UFC fight in the near future, so who the hell knows? So he's got the match. The match.
Re-enter the pool, yeah.
Yeah, the match in 2 weeks, and now that John Jones is done fucked up, God knows what's going on there, you know? So you have the match in 2 weeks, or 1 week now, right? A week from tomorrow. And then I'm sure there'll be some sort of Survivor Series thing in some form or fashion. And then I don't think Brock's wrestling on some random Monday Night Raw against Monday Night Football anytime in the near future.
Probably not.
So, yeah.
That seems unlikely.
He'll have 5 non-Royal Rumble matches this year. And if last 2 are like the first 3, they're all going to be awesome. So, but yeah, we'll get to the limitless later. The limited appearance keeps him fresh and keeps him special. So you're 100% right there.
Okay. And my other question is, do you have a problem with the fact that it's so very obvious when Brock gets blown up? Because he gets blown up pretty frequently, and it's so clear. It's clear as fucking day.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a counter question?
Sure.
Do you have a problem when Roman Reigns gets blown up?
Yeah, that's why he's number 4 on my list as opposed to number 2.
He's number 4, but he's number 4, and he's not number... What's he on my list? 8? So I don't mind when Brock gets blown up because they're booking the matches. Nobody else in the company gets the same, with the exception of Braun Strowman, who they're doing a masterful job protecting in matches. No one else in the company but those two gets the same protection in their matches than Brock and Braun Strowman get. They script the matches perfectly to give them chances to catch their breath.
Okay.
So no, it doesn't bother me.
All right. Reasonable. All right, cool.
Now, if they book him like they book an AJ Styles match where it's go for 20 minutes and he keels over and dies, we may have a problem. We may have a problem. That could be a bit of an issue.
Yeah, we don't want anybody keeling over and die. That's definitely a no.
In my estimation, he is the perfect storm of performer and role, and has been for the past 5 years in WWE, if not longer.
All right.
He is the perfect performer for his role, and his role is perfect for him.
All right.
So, in a hypothetical and company that fuck his roll up, which is very possible because again WWE, he would be lower. But they've gotten him right. Vince loves him. Vince loves and fears and respects him, so he books him perfectly. Whether he should or shouldn't is a different story. But we're talking about the in-ring ability, not whether or not they're booked properly.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So, on to number 3.
Okay.
My list is Io Shirai.
I had her number 6, so we're more or less in agreement. I'll let you talk. I know she is one of your favorites, so I'll let you talk.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's really not much you can say about Io Shirai that hasn't already been said. She is the single best female performer in the world. I have her at number 3 on my list, regardless of gender. And the only reason why she is not higher than Okada is because, and this is entirely nothing that is within her control. It is just reality. Being that she is a tiny Japanese woman, she doesn't really have a power game. But it doesn't matter because everything that she does do just works. It just fucking works. She works infinitely well on both sides, whether she is playing underdog babyface or shithead heel. She just works so well, and her execution is phenomenal. Bar none, there is no other woman in the world, and very few men in the world, who can execute what she does with that level of precision. And her ability to carry under-talented wrestlers to high-end performances is unparalleled. Like, it's very rare that you see an Io Shirai match where it just doesn't come together, like that god-awful match that she had with Mandy Leon, because Mandy Leon is god-awful. That was the one instance that
Mandy Leon is terrible.
Yeah, that was the one.
Mandy Leon is just is horrendously bad.
Yeah, in recent memory, that is the only instance of Io being unable to carry a match to excellence on her own while dealing with a less talented worker. Every match that she's had with the Stardom mid-card and undercard still always comes out looking great. One of my favorite matches from earlier this year in Stardom was Io against Deonna Purrazzo, who nobody expects to be, this incredible worker. Although I will say she is far more talented than a lot of people will give her credit for, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I mean, Io and Deonna Purrazzo, I want that rematch. That's a rematch that I want to see really badly because those two put it together really well, and that was a great match. I would love to see a rematch between the two of them. Yeah, there's very little that she cannot do. I mean, she can even work intergender. I mean, I talked about the Lucha Underground match she had where she was part of that big match against Penta. She was on Penta's level that whole match. Fantastic stuff. So that's my gushing. I'm done gushing.
But here's all you need to know about Io Shirai. I'm going to give you 3 opponents. I'm going to give you 3 names. You ready? Mayu Iwatani.
Yep.
Toni Storm.
Yep.
And Shayna Baszler. Wow, I can't speak. Shayna Baszler. Right.
Yep.
I just gave you 3 women who Io Shirai in the past 9 months has had excellent matches with. Right.
Yep. I
just named you 3 women who are totally different in every way you can be different in the ring.
Yep.
And yet the common denominator is that Io Shirai had awesome matches with all 3 of them.
Yeah. And I mean, all 3 of them are excellent.
I am not the Joshi fan you are. I am not the Joshi watcher that you are. And even I'm like, yeah, she's something else.
Yeah. She's incredible.
She's just something else. She's the female Okada, and that she can have a different match with someone else every night, and it can be a great match.
Absolutely.
And that versatility is Flair-esque.
Yeah.
Flair-esque.
It's amazing. It's amazing what she does.
Especially this day, in the era of get your shit in.
Yeah. And she has so much stuff that she can do. That's the other thing. Every Io Shirai match looks different. In an era where professional wrestling is defined by wrestlers doing signature spots and having signature moves and things that they go to in every single match, Io Shirai has technically 2. She has 2 defining moments she does in every match. One is the tombstone to set up 2, the moonsault.
That's it. She's a great shit heel. She's a great House of Fire babyface. She's a great tweener. Like she's 26.
Yeah.
Guys, I mean, God willing, her neck holds together.
Yeah, you do not get anything near this level.
I had her at 6th, and I may be low now that I'm thinking about it, but.
I mean, well, I attribute that to the fact that you were not as experienced. Like
I'm not. But I mean, every
fine.
single one of her matches I've seen, I've loved, and I've seen like 6 of them. So I imagine the more again, she had a great match with Mae Young Classic, a couple.
Yeah.
She had a great match with Toni Storm. She had a great match with Shayna Baszler. Wow, the goddamn fouls throw me off. And all of those matches were totally different.
Yep.
She played fearless underdog babyface against the monster against Baszler. Mm-hmm. She 50-50'd against Iwatani because both women were unbelievably over. And she was the plucky face of the company versus Toni Storm.
Yep. It works.
And it works
so much.
She's good at everything.
Yeah. Naito
we talked about. We talked about Naito. So we'll get
there. I have him at number 13, and that's I
love this G1.
Yeah.
I love the finals. I have to watch it again.
Yeah. I definitely want to watch that.
I have to watch it in Japanese without Rock Romero screaming at me at the top of my lungs at 6:30 on a Sunday, which oh dear God. Dear God, that's never happening again.
And Don Callis sucking Omega's dick the entire match.
And
God.
Don Callis saying he's selling the neck, which made me want to reach into my screen and strangle somebody.
Yeah. Don Callis needs to go the fuck away forever.
Yeah. No.
It's the worst.
The English commentary is horrendously bad. So I need to watch it again in Japanese and have people marking out and screaming incoherent Japanese babble.
It's so good. It's amazing.
I'm sure it's great.
Yeah.
So we talked about Naito.
Yeah. Number 4. The only reason why I have Naito at 13 is not anything to do with him. It's more just about the fact that I believe everybody I have above him has great defining characteristics that make them stand out. Naito is an amazing in-ring worker, and the fact that he can keep the act alive throughout his matches and keep tranquilo the whole time is something else. There's nobody else in the world that can do that like he does. It's a fantastic ability. Even freaking Almas can't do that. And Almas is the one who created the concept in the first place.
Exactly, which I love.
Naito is better than the creator. Naito has surpassed his teacher. Yep. All right, 4.
Roman Reigns.
I had Roman. Yeah.
I have Tomohiro Ishii.
Yes. I have Reigns where he is. My love for Roman Reigns is...
You don't have Ishii anywhere. You bastard. You scoundrel.
Barely doesn't make it. He's like...
You scoundrel.
He's like 22. He's like 22 on my list if I were to
He's in the also receiving votes.
Yes, he is on the also receiving votes list. But yeah, Roman... I honestly believe that if you put Roman Reigns out there against anybody in the company and told him, have this style of a match, he could go out there and do it regardless of who he was across the ring from. And that the only thing that Roman really can't do at this stage of the game is if you told him to go out there and do a 450, he would probably tell you, are you fucking out of your mind? He still does his high spots. I still remember there was some sort of bullshit thing when he was in the feud with the Authority going into, I think it was either Extreme Rules or Payback in 2015, and there was some bullshit match to close out a Raw, and Roman is the only one left in the ring, and everybody else is on the outside. Roman he basically does what the Usos do and just hits the ropes, runs back across the ring, and dives over the top rope into everybody else. He still does. He's got high spot ability all over him. He can do whatever you need him to do, like just without question. He's a fantastic talent, and anybody that says Roman Reigns can't wrestle is flat out lying. I don't care.
No, the in-ring is not the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not at all. Not even a little. Like And the only reason I had him 8th is because the 7 people I had ahead of him I think are better. But
yeah, that's fine.
Not in any punishment. I wasn't punishing him in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely, I understand that. Yeah. Tell me where Ishii comes in at 4 for you.
He's one of my dad's favorite wrestlers, and I respect Dad's opinion when it comes to this stuff.
Absolutely, and I respect your dad's opinion. I've never met your dad.
No, because my dad likes big dudes who just beat the shit out of people.
Yeah,
my dad's a very simple man.
Yeah. And honestly, what's not to like about a big guy beating the shit out of a little guy?
My dad just wants to watch big guys just beating up little guys. Like, because he wants to come home from work, he wants to sit in his chair, crack open a Diet Coca-Cola, and watch, big guys beating up little guys. And you know what? Who among us doesn't want that?
Yeah, for sure.
I loved his G1, as we discussed.
Yes.
I loved his Long Beach USA tournament. So I wanted to give him accolades. And again, shit feels different. He's an unbelievable seller, as we talked about. Remember how he was selling the Sabre Jr. match, the next match against Omega and the Long Beach, and how he would sell stuff over G1 nights? We talked about Okada doing that when he couldn't kip up.
Yeah.
Ishii was just like that. If Okada was the MVP of the G1 and Nagata was the sentimental pick, then I think Ishii is the number 2.
Yeah. I would put it as a tie between Ishii and Juice.
I cannot think of a bad Ishii match I've seen in the past year. I can't. I'm sure there's one out there. I'm sure there's some random tag match where he's slept walk. But I'm talking in terms of a featured singles match. I can't think of a bad one against a litany of opponents.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal.
And the same day, he had a good match against Kenny Omega and a good match against Zack Sabre Jr. Like two guys who are totally different in terms of their in-ring ability and acumen and style. So again, my list leans heavily towards versatility, as if you can't figure it out by now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Ishii, and he's different. He's this big nasty bastard who will scowl at you and then hit you in the head with a forearm. But at the same time, he shows enough vulnerability to not make you look pathetic. Yep. Like, he beat Sabre Jr. He beat Naito, but he didn't make him look pathetic. He didn't squash them. They both looked as good, if not better, leaving the match than they did going into the match.
Yep.
So.
And that's a feat for a guy who is 40.
Yeah.
That's an amazing feat
for a guy who's 40. That's an old. He's got more miles on him than a lot of guys.
Yeah. He's been around the block, but
he's been around the city.
Yeah. He capitalizes on the fact that he can just go out there and do anything with any performer. It's fantastic. And like I said, he is still very high on my list, even though he didn't make the top 20. He's like 20, 22, 23-ish, around there.
So,
in the number 5 spot, I have Pete Dunne, and you have the friendly fellow Keith Lee.
Yep. King of the Indies for me, Keith Lee.
Yeah.
I've yet to see a bad Keith Lee match, and I know enough about the guy. I like to think I know enough about the guy, given what I have interacted with and others have said, that he would never sleepwalk through a match ever. If you see now, unless there's something drastically wrong, like he's hurt or something, that if you get a Keith Lee match, if Keith Lee's coming to your town, you get a good match.
Yeah, I have Keith Lee at number 7 on my list.
Friend of the show, Duke, says he had a great match with
Angela Slane.
With a woman.
Yep.
And actually, he have great matches with men. And he's had great matches with little guys, and great matches with big guys, and great matches with women. Like, he's the king of the indies. Yep. What more do you want from this guy?
Yeah, right now the guy is easily one of the best in the world.
Yeah,
and like,
absolutely.
It doesn't matter that he is performing, in armories and VFW halls in front of just 200, 300 people. Dude pulls it out for whatever crowd he's in front of.
That's it. And he's
fantastic.
And I know it doesn't count. And it didn't count. But again, super cool dude.
Yeah. I'm
so happy that he's achieved success.
Yeah. Limitless. Yeah. I have him at 7, and it's a strong possibility he ends up at 6.
I don't watch enough progress to see Pete Dunne, but the Pete Dunne at NXT has been unbelievable. So I can't argue with you there.
Pete Dunne is he's a throwback to the old style of British wrestling.
Talk about
but like his ability to just string stuff together is incredible. his ability to just keep the thread of a match together from start to finish is incredible too.
The NXT match of the year is Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate, and it's been a good in-ring year for NXT.
Absolutely.
It's been a really good year in-ring, a really good in-ring year for NXT, and that's the match of the year. And other than Asuka and Ember Moon, I can't think of something else that could challenge it.
Yeah.
In terms of NXT match of the year.
Yeah.
If you told me that's the WWE match of the year, I wouldn't really argue with you.
No, not at all.
I would probably lean towards Brock Goldberg because I'm like that. But if you said, George, the WWE/NXT match of the year is Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate from NXT Chicago, it's okay.
Yeah.
I can see it. I'm not arguing with you there. I can live with that.
Yeah. And the guy is probably the best facial expression guy in the world.
Oh, yeah.
that scowl. I'm not a small person. And if Pete Dunne scowled at me, I would probably be quaking in my boots. That dude is... He's
relatively small, but he fights big too.
Yeah. He just has that presence to him. Like it's undescribable in a lot of ways, but he just has that factor to him that just makes it undeniable. To like you look at him and you're like, yeah, this is a guy I have to pay attention to.
Yes.
Without a doubt.
Yes. We call that charisma, brother Chris.
Yes. That's the word.
Next
up we have number 6. I have Matt Riddle. You have Io Shirai.
We talked about Io Shirai. Talk about Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle's my number 7, so we're close.
Yes, very close on this one, and deservedly so. Riddle is singularly incredible talent.
He is the only thing holding him back from being an all-timer is himself.
Yep,
that's it.
Dude is 220 pounds. Goes in there and fights like he's 320 pounds.
Mm-hmm. You know, he fought at 170 in the UFC. 170. He fought at 170. He was a welterweight. Yep. He fought at the same weight class CM Punk did. Think about that. Think about scrawny-ass Matt Riddle and scrawny-ass CM Punk, 170. And think about Matt Riddle now after whatever he did to get up to 225, 230.
Yeah.
And think about how even though he gained 60 pounds of muscle, he's still so fluid.
Yeah.
And then think about how he's only been wrestling for 2 years.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
And then smile.
Yeah. Singular talent. There's nothing you can do to hold that guy back. Except for himself. 7. We both talked about our 7 spots. I had you and Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
Number 8. You had Roman Reigns, who we talked about. I have Mr. Hiromu Takahashi.
By all means, I have him at 10. So
yeah, the best cruiserweight in the world, bar none. You will not find anybody. In cruiserweight, junior heavyweight, whatever weight, whatever you want to give it a name as, you will not find anybody better than him.
He is the master at using his body as a weapon.
Yeah,
and not making it look fake like Ricochet does.
Yeah, and that is my only gripe against him is that his work style is not great for his long-term health. But putting that aside, putting that aside, dude is just. He just has that. He has the charisma too. You put him in the ring with a guy like Ricochet or Will Ospreay, who is out there doing flips and going crazy and all this other shit, and it's like it doesn't matter that they're doing that stuff because if Hiromu Takahashi's in there, he walks to the ring with that swagger, and he's in the ring with just the presence that he has. He just stares across the ring at you with that sly smile, and just the way he slinks around, and just oh my god, I can't say enough good things about that. It just
you got a little subtle stuffed animal over, Chris.
What?
You got animal over.
You got stuffed animal over, yeah.
Like, what more do you want? He's awesome. He's so good. He does everything well.
It's so good. And yeah, I mean, he's a guy as a cruiserweight that doesn't need to be going out there doing crazy flips and crazy spots, and that's the thing that says the most about him. Like his one big flip spot is the sunset flip powerbomb to the outside. He doesn't need to go to the top. I don't think I've ever seen him go to the top turnbuckle for anything.
I think off the top of my head, I don't think so.
Yeah, he doesn't need to. The guy just has just the speed and the impact. It really is just the speed and the impact. That's really all there is to it. It's incredible. Number 9. You have AJ Styles, we talked about. I have Kairi Sane.
Sure, by all means. I think I had her at 12, so we're close.
Yes, you have her at 12. Yes, we are close there, yeah.
And
Kairi Sane. You talk. I was just gushing about Takahashi. You talk about
Kairi Sane is one of the best plucky baby faces I've seen in a long time, male or female. She is great at selling apprehension, but not fear. A good baby face should never be afraid, brother Chris. They should never be quaking in their boots. They could be nervous. Nervous is fine. Apprehensive is fine, but never fearful. Fearful kills it. She doesn't sell. She sells that fine line perfectly. Her comeback offense, in the Mae Young, which we'll get to, was exceptional.
Yes.
That spinning back fist, which she hit Baszler in the head. I think Baszler's teeth are still flying in Las Vegas, which is everything you want from babyface on their comeback.
Yeah, that spinning back fist is just a thing of beauty. I love that every time she hits that.
The elbow drop is more.
Best in the world in all of history.
You know what? Now's a good time to talk about the Mae Young finals. What we're talking about.
Yeah.
A little intermission.
Let's talk
about the Mae Young finals.
I'm gonna get you and probably a bunch of other people angry by saying that Kairi Sane's elbow drop is the best in the world in all of history. Better than Savage's.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going there. I'm doing that.
I'm just gonna shake my head at your ignorance, but that's okay. I do like that little thing she does with her legs. She kicks her legs out. That's funny. But the Savage elbow drop is just, I don't know. Maybe it's just, it could be nostalgia, but
it's entirely nostalgia. But that's all right.
Okay. It's just your Joshiness is showing, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's true. It might be my preference to the Joshi.
Let's talk about the Mae. This is a good time to talk about the Mae Young. We're talking about Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane won the Mae Young Classic.
She did.
Beat my girl Baszler in a match that I thought was good, but not great. I think I went 3 3/4.
Yeah, that's about right. And the biggest problem of it was that it was rushed.
Yes, I said this at the time. It felt like they had paced out 20 minutes, and then 3 minutes before the match, they were supposed to go through Gorilla. Someone said, "Oh yeah, by the way, you have 12 minutes." And instead of cutting out a big chunk of it, they decided to do everything but at 1.5 speed. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when you got the Baszler lock or whatever she calls that cool rear naked choke thing.
Yeah.
Whereas if you contrast with Asuka Ember, where Ember was fighting the Asuka lock for a full 30 seconds before tapping out, Sane fought for 15 seconds, did the elbows, and we moved on. I felt that the entire thing was rushed. I don't like the pirate princess gimmick at all, to be honest. I'm not a fan. It does nothing. It does nothing for me. I think it's hokey. I think it's hokey. I think it's dumb. Not a deal breaker, but
I will say this. That was the one thing going into her WWE deal that I was like, you know what? I know that this has been her gimmick for her whole career. That's her thing. And Stardom did it right. But, this is WWE where they overdo everything, and they overdid it here, absolutely. And it's just like
wheel and shit. Yeah,
it's like
I will say. Oh, go on. I'll say the biggest point in favor of this match is that crowd didn't give one iota of a shit when that match started, and by the end of it, they were on their feet and cheering and clapping, and that is a testament to the two of them. Because I told you this at the time. I said, this crowd's dead. They don't give a fuck. And then by the end, they were like chanting and clapping and cheering and all that other fun stuff. And it's like, all right, we got them into it. It's like that. Props to those two ladies for doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was
a big deal. I don't want to diminish that. That's a big deal.
That was what I honestly that was what I feared going into, was that match was going to get no response and that everybody was going to just shit on it because the crowd didn't give it anything. But the crowd woke up. The crowd got into it, and it was like, all right, awesome. You guys, you did what you were supposed to do. Well done.
It's it. That's it. That's the point. That's the name of the game. That's the point. That's the reason we're here, is to get the crowd into shit.
Yep.
So 3 3/4. I thought it was very good. I didn't think it was great. I thought they possibly, at first I thought they killed Baszler's finish, but I'm okay with the bad ribs. I'm okay with that. So
yeah, they did what they needed to do to sell a believable story of a tiny Japanese woman overcoming a fearsome MMA professional. And you know, I mean, I had seen this match earlier in the year in the Io Shirai Shayna Baszler match, but the difference is that Io Shirai is Io Shirai.
Yes.
Because she walks into a match expecting to win every single match, and rightly so, because it doesn't matter who you put across the ring for her, she will win the match.
I have not watched the May yet because I am very bad and lazy. If the commentary is this bad, I may not, to be honest with you. I mean, if the commentary throughout the Mae Young is as bad as it was at the Mae Young final, I may just watch the Tessa Blanchard match that everyone's raving about, and that's it. Because I cannot sit through 8 hours of that, Chris. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
I understand. No, I understand. And yes, it was pretty bad. But
I can't do it, man. I'm tapping out now. I can't do it.
I'm going to give you some recommendations of a few select matches that you really should watch.
Okay. I got my pen and paper.
Because, you know, like, I'll give it to you. Actually, no. You know what? I'll just give it to you now. And the audience, if you guys haven't watched the Mae Young Classic yet, here's some matches that you should watch as well. In the first round,
3, because my Saturday's wide open. I can watch them all.
Only 3?
Nah, give me however many you want, but I'll probably just watch 3 or 4.
All right. I'll keep it to 4. All right.
Okay.
Number 1, Abby Lath versus Jazzy Gabbert from the first round.
Abby Lath versus Jazzy Gabbert. Great names, by the way.
Yes. Abby Lath and Jazzy Gabbert from the first round was that was my favorite match of the whole first round.
Ooh, I like that it's round 1 because I have no idea who won.
Yeah.
I don't remember who won. I'm sure I saw it when the spoilers came out, but I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Spectacular match.
Abby Lath is Kaylee Ray, right?
Kimberly,
that's what I meant.
Yeah, former Kimberly,
okay.
Yes. Spectacular match. Round 2, absolutely watch Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair.
Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair. Okay.
Yep. Spectacular match.
Round 2. Okay.
Round 3, Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, that I'll watch, even though it was like 4 minutes long. I'm told, right?
It was the shortest match that Candice had, but believe me, it's worth it.
Oh, I'm in on that. You know, I love Candice.
Yeah.
Shayna is rapidly climbing my list of favorite wrestlers. Round 3, you said?
Yeah, that's round 3.
So round 1 is the first batch of episodes, and round 2 and 3 are the second batch, right?
Yeah, round 2, 3, and 4 are all the second batch of 8 episodes. Yeah. Okay. And then the semifinal match I would say to watch is the Kairi Sane versus Toni Storm match, which by reports are saying that initially Triple H and the powers that be had wanted the finals to be Toni Storm versus Kairi Sane, but because they wanted to push that stupid fucking 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen angle, they put Shayna in the finals instead. Which, you know, whatever. Shayna did very well for herself, but Kairi Sane versus Toni Storm, like if I had been able to see that as the finals, oh boy.
A few other quick notes about the parts that I've seen. Mm-hmm. Shayna Baszler should never speak ever again. She's no good. God, no. She's no good at it. That's fine. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. And the fact that she's only been wrestling for like 3 years is pretty amazing considering how good she is in terms of the in-ring ability. Yeah. Selling is much better than I expected someone to come from the MMA world to be at. Maybe I'm wrong though, because Riddle's an awesome seller and Brock is an awesome seller. Maybe there's something to be said for having been in a real fight and knowing how to sell damage in a real fight.
That might be a part of it.
Maybe there's something there, or maybe it's just that the 3 of them, Brock, Riddle, and Baszler, are really good at it, and it's a small sample size.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We'll see.
Getting
back to the top 20s. Number 10. I have Penta El Cero Miedo, and you have Furuya Takahashi. You actually can talk more about Penta, who you have at number 19.
I have Penta and Phoenix, the Lucha Brothers, at 18 and 19, and I explicitly said you can interchange them because I love them both. I think I like Phoenix a little more right now. I like his style. I think he's better at conveying emotion through the mask than Penta is. Mm-hmm. Penta is better on offense. Phoenix is better selling. And I think selling is a little more important. So that's why I went with Phoenix instead of Penta. I love Pentagon has, and you don't notice this until you get to a match, a show, and you watch them work the table, the gimmick table.
Mhm.
But when Pentagon enters a room, everybody looks. He has that magnetic ability for a guy who's like 5'8", maybe in a mask.
Mhm.
Doesn't have a great body. I mean, he's not ripped to shreds. I mean, he's thick and muscular, but he's not like shredded. He's not like Matt Riddle. You know what I'm saying? Where he's just that, oh my God, look at this guy. And he's always wrestling in a t-shirt. I love his crowd brawling Pentagons. I
Mhm.
love the emotion that he puts in the matches.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite feuds in recent vintage is his season 1 of Lucha Underground. Him versus Vampiro. That later became him and Vampiro. That whole arm breaking thing. I thought that was amazing. And I think a lesser wrestler could not have pulled that off.
Agreed. Yeah. He has. There's something to Pentagon. I have Penta at 10 and I have Phoenix at 19. Just because I've seen less of Phoenix.
I have them both lower
as much.
I don't think they're not super versatile, either one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big hallmark. And I think that they are, and I haven't seen as much of them as I'd like to. I don't watch AAA or the Crash or whatever company they're part of now.
Yeah, they're in the Crash now. Yeah,
they're the Crash, and I've given up on Lucha Underground.
Yeah, no, rightly so. Because Lucha Underground has been
sorry, Duke.
Pretty garbage.
Sorry, Duke. Actually, it was garbage, but I'm told that this shit with like the Mac is actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, Willie Mack is fantastic.
Yeah, Willie Mack is pretty great.
Willie Mack is a good guy, but yeah, like some of this stuff after Aztec Warfare 3 and like just some of the bullshit surrounding Sexy Star, Sexy Star herself being bullshit also kind of threw me out of it, but that's neither here nor there. Let's see. 11. You have Pete Dunne, who we talked about.
Dunne.
I have Mr. Travis Banks.
I don't watch it. That's ignorance on my part. I don't watch Progress. I don't watch British wrestling. So
yeah, Travis Banks,
I cannot comment one way or the other on the guy. So I couldn't put him on my list.
That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Travis Banks is spectacular at grabbing the crowd with with another guy with like the littlest stuff, and he will grab the crowd and have them on his side. He is the best fiery like come from behind babyface that I've seen in a long time. Just in terms of being able to really like sell that never say die attitude, and really just the emotional energy that he brings to the ring, and really nothing more for that than the moments at Progress New York after TK Cooper broke his ankle or did whatever he did to his ankle, and he on the fly called for a handicap match against British Strong Style. And that moment of him, like at the start of the match, just flying in there to take the fight to them, was like, yeah, this guy has it. This guy is something else. He's incredible. And I really want to be able to see more of his stuff because he has some qualities to him that like Penta, and this also happened at Progress when like people were coming to the merch tables. Like he was coming out to sell merch during the Evolve show and during the Progress show as well. Like Travis Banks, TK Cooper is the bigger guy in the South Pacific Power Trip, but Travis Banks is the one that your attention gravitates towards because he has that presence. You'd think for a guy who is pretty small, like a 5'9", 5'10", small guy from New Zealand, but there's just something in his eyes. You just look at him and it's like there's something to this guy.
Nice, I like it.
Same thing for my guy at number 12, Aleister Black, who is right now one of the best strikers in the world. Like watching Aleister Black in a ring is a treat. Watching him hit people is such a treat.
Yeah, if you like guys who just beat the shit out of people, Aleister Black's your guy.
Yeah, I love the fact that he can hit you from any angle and make it seem like you've been hit by a fucking wrecking ball. Like it doesn't matter. what you do, or what sort of front you put up. If Aleister Black hits you, he makes it look like you've been freaking crumpled to the ground by a brick. It's incredible for a guy of his size, and again, presence. The calm composure, and then just sudden explosiveness. I love watching that in a guy. It's so nice. You have Kairi Sane at 12, who we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
13, I have Naito, who we talked about. You have our buddy Zack Sabre Jr., who I have.
Zack Sabre, baby. G1. I thought he had an excellent G1.
Yes.
And the old king of the Indies, supplanted by Keith Lee.
Mm-hmm.
But not a case of the king is dead, long live the king. Just a case of Keith Lee being that much better.
Yeah.
I'm excited for his match in about 6 hours versus Tanahashi.
Yes.
And I know I am particular to his style of wrestling. I understand it is not for everyone. So that's why I had him where I had him. I think he's excellent at his style. Nobody does that submission stuff better. Nobody does that improvisational, big word, submission stuff better. And nobody makes it look more painful.
Yeah.
Especially now that Drew Gulak and Jack Gallagher are wasting their time on 205 Live.
Yep. Yeah. You hit all the salient points there. I have him at 14, and he is right now the best submission wrestler in the world, with hands down. The guy is a once in a generation talent when it comes to body manipulation. Everything he does looks like it is like limbs on fire, painful. Just it's hard if you're a guy who doesn't like watching body manipulation. It's hard to watch.
Like the stuff against Tanahashi was legitimately like gut wrenching. Like
yeah. And him tying Ishii up the way he did, also, like in their G1 match.
Yep.
Oh man, crazy sauce. And then at 14, you have Ibushi, who I have at 15. So let's talk about Kota Ibushi.
I thought he had a awesome bounce back G1, and I've yet to see a bad Ibushi match that isn't super gimmick DDT shit.
Yeah.
Naito was one of my favorite matches of the year. I know what I'm getting with him. The ring, and I'm getting a serious opponent. I'm getting a serious match. Yep. And I know that he has legs of steel.
Yes. So, yeah. That covers it. I mean, that guy is
he doesn't have bad matches.
A lot. He doesn't have bad matches, and he's another guy that sizes up against, despite being like 190 pounds, he sizes up against any opponent. That his match against Fale, I believe there was a chance that Ibushi could win that match.
So did I.
Fale outweighs him by.
He's given 140 pounds, whatever it is. Yeah.
150 pounds. Yeah. And I believe that Ibushi goes into any match and has the capacity to win it if he finds the way.
Plus, he has such great hair. And
he really
for that. He really has great hair.
And I also like, and some people put this as a black mark against Ibushi, but I love the fact that every moment for Ibushi that he sells it like it's the biggest thing in the world.
Yes.
Like after every victory, he does the big arms raised moment of triumph. And it's like, you know what? That kind of energy and like that kind of investment that the wrestler has brings the crowd into it too, and that's valuable. That's a skill that not a lot of people bring to the table these days. 15, I had Ibushi, as we just talked about. You have Kenny Omega, who I had at number 20.
Gotta have him. I thought he had a subpar G1, only subpar because his standards are so ludicrously high.
Yeah.
So that on the one hand, I am punishing him for not being one of the best in the world, but he's still one of the next best in the world.
Yeah.
I thought the finals was excellent against Naito. Excellent. I thought the match he had against Okada was excellent. In fact, my favorite of the three. And if I'm getting a big Kenny Omega match, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
A little too get my shit in, a little too move spammy, a little too here's my 10th V trigger. A little too uncreative when it comes to trying to get the finish. But he has a great mind for the business, and I know the beginning and the middle and the latter part of the match are going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Ending of Omega matches I'm not a fan of, actually, because they're all V-trigger, run winged angel. Yeah. And it's like whatever. But the beginning and the middle, that's where he shines, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's where he really, really shows that he is good at this whole wrestling thing.
Yeah, he turns it on for sure. But The reason why I have him at 20 is, we talked about this. The differences between Kaz Okada and Kenny Omega were so palpable in that G1.
Night and day.
Because Omega was going out there and he was, you could see every single match, he was just trying so hard to make sure that it was the match of the night. And he was just trying to pull out bigger and bigger spots and bigger moments, trying to like max. It's when you're pushing that hard and trying too hard, it's evident and it detracts from the quality of the match. Whereas Okada goes out there and makes it look effortless. Night in and night out. He just goes out there and he just does what he does, and it just flows naturally. There's nothing else to it. And that's the big difference between Kenny Omega and Kaz Okada right now.
That's it. That's a good way of putting it. Very good way of putting it.
But like you said,
almost like you know what you're talking about, brother Chris.
Right? I know, it's crazy.
Or at least can fake it pretty well.
Yep. we're good at faking it when we don't know. I'll say that for sure. But yeah, like you said, you have to have him on the list because he is another guy that can do pretty much anything you ask of him if you wanted to. As long as he's not hamming it up, he can do anything you want of him. He can go out there and have a match against an 8-year-old girl and have it be a perfectly safe match. As we talked about.
You can tell that girl was loving every second of that. That's my favorite part of that match.
Yeah.
The huge big smile on her face when she's doing like takedowns and shit. It's like, all right, she's enjoying herself. And because Kenny's not beating the shit out of her.
Exactly. Yeah. 16. I have Candice LeRae and you have Neville.
I have Neville because I sound like a broken record, but I know what I'm getting. When's the last time you saw a bad Neville match?
You don't see those.
No.
Very infrequently. Like maybe one of those. Maybe one of the matches.
The answer, by the way, is going to be Sunday against Enzo Amore, or next Sunday against Enzo Amore. But I'm not going to punish the guy because Enzo Amore is a terrible, terrible wrestler. I'm not punishing Neville for that.
Absolutely no. I mean, there may be like. Maybe a couple of the matches during that Austin Aries feud were not great, but that's mostly on Austin Aries because Austin Aries sometimes phones it in, and that was the case of Austin Aries.
Like, here's a question for you.
Phoning it in, yeah.
Here's a question for you. We talk about how great so-and-so will be in the G1. How great would Neville have been in the best of the Super Juniors?
Oh, he could have run the table. He should have run the
table. Neville could have been in the G1, and it would have worked.
Yeah.
If I told you Neville is in the G1 instead of
That's the Super Juniors.
Instead of the Super Juniors, or a sub out, I don't know, Tamatonga. I know he's your guy, but work with me.
No, when we talk about destruction of Fukushima, I'm going to have some words for Tamatonga. Yeah, believe me.
But I mean, like if I told you Neville's in the G1 and you're going to get a Neville Kenny Omega match, how awesome would that be?
That would be fantastic.
Or even a Neville Sabre Jr. because Neville can do it all. Neville can do it all, and he's the only reason the 205 Live is worth a damn. Yeah. It's because that guy is at the top.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he also went from being, just a generic flippy guy to being one of the best expression work. Some of the best expression work in the company.
The disdain that he cuts promos with, and the way he slaps guys in the back of the head as they're trying to stand up. Like, how dare you? How dare you waste my time?
The purpose with which he moves in the ring is the best. Like, he's another guy who is just barely outside of my top 20. I would say he's probably number 24.
Heel Neville is awesome.
Yeah,
I am a fan. I love it, and I want him to be that way forever and ever, world without end.
I have no problem with Neville being a heel for all time.
Yep, he's really good at it. Really good at it.
Yep. Next up at Candice LeRae. Candice LeRae at 16.
I had her at 20, so we talked about her a little bit.
Yeah, the most versatile female performer in the world when it comes to just being able to go out there and work a match against anybody.
She had a good match against Sami Callihan, and it rocked.
Yeah.
Sami Callihan's grumble.
Nice.
That's what I'm going to say.
Crumble.
That's what I'm going to say.
That made my night. Well done.
That's what I'm going to say about Sami Callihan.
I mean, yeah, that's an accurate thing to say about Sami Callihan, though, so I can't blame you.
So,
Oh, Jesus, that was funny. Yeah, I mean,
I had her 20.
yeah, matches against, the thing I love is that when they did the previews for all the competitors in the May, um, they brought up the fact that she has faced just this litany of incredible performers from the men's side in WWE, and yeah, I mean, and every single one of those matches that she's had against guys on the men's side in WWE were all great matches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, the one match of hers that I will refuse to watch though is the match against the Young Bucks with her and Joey Ryan versus the Young Bucks, where she has the Crimson Mask, and like just the pictures of that alone are enough to turn my stomach.
Yeah, don't watch that.
That's if you're squeamish, don't seek that match out. But yeah, I mean, she is a great talent, and I hope that they sign her and use her effectively. I mean, that seems like it's a tall order for WWE, but I mean, I hope that they can do it.
Yeah, we're asking for a lot, I fear.
Yeah, unfortunately. 17. Two guys neither of us have talked about yet. Let's talk about Drew McIntyre for me and Roderick Strong for you.
I love Drew. I think I don't like his current incarnation, though. I think he's better as a heel, and I think it's hindering him a little bit in the ring. Drew McIntyre, give no fucks heel, is much better than Drew McIntyre, whatever the hell he's doing right now.
That's the thing. I don't think that there really is much difference right now, because his matches, I mean, yeah, I think right now he best could be qualified as a tweener, because he's working his matches still, like, he's still working from the top. He's still working the fact that he is, 6'5", 255, hulking Irish, muscle. I would think that he still has that presence to him, that heel presence. The only difference is, like, versus when he Evolve and full heel, he's not going out there and hitting people with chairs and shit, and holding them in submissions for forever and a day. But he still is hitting hard. He's making his presence known, and he's not backing down from fights. He's not like, if he is getting knocked down, it's not that he's suddenly working underdog. He's just stunned for a bit, but then he makes this strong style comeback. And the big thing for me, like, more than anything, is just the fact that he took the improvement that he garnered on the indies, and
he's gotten so much better. That was so good for him. We talked about Naito's excursion. I mean, how about his excursion?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He took that excursion that he did out to the Indies, of being the king of the Indies for 2 years. He brought it back and translated it into the WWE style seamlessly. Even though NXT is not entirely the WWE style like it is on Raw and SmackDown, but it still is a form of the WWE style. He brought all that knowledge back from the Indies and put it back into his arsenal, and is still able to work the WWE style without missing a beat. It's amazing. That kind of adaptation. I mean, yeah, he does have the benefit of having worked with it before, but being able to adapt what he learned and merge that stuff together is something that you really don't see a lot of guys able to do. So, lots of love for Mr. Drew McIntyre, the artist formerly known as Drew Galloway, in that regard. Talk to me about
Strong.
Yeah, talk to me about Roderick Strong right now.
I like him a lot. I think he's better now than he was in Ring of Honor, because they've given me a hook with his soon-to-be wife and young child. Before in Ring of Honor, he was just guy who did moves, which was everyone in Ring of Honor, which was okay, whatever. But now there's something there. The whole fighting for his family, it gives him agency, and it makes his in-ring that much better. And I think he's excellent right now in the ring. He had a great match with Bobby Roode with the Dusty finish on NXT. He's had good tag matches. He's had good multi-man matches. He's just been very, very good. I think the WWE style helps him, actually, to be honest, because it kind of limits him a little bit and keeps him and lets him focus on the 5 or 6 things he's really good at, rather than try to be 30 or 40 different things that he's only okay at.
Yeah. Good assessment.
Yeah.
I think that there are some.
By the way, you talked about McIntyre. He was the first one who didn't make my cut.
Fair.
He was number 21.
Right. Yeah, he is that good. For me, Roddy Strong is probably in the low 20s, and that's only because I feel like he's starting to show his age a bit, but he still brings his A game to every match. So you can't say that he's not putting in the work. He's definitely putting in the work. He's doing everything that he can to capitalize on the opportunities given to him. You can't say he's not doing that. At number 18, you have Phoenix / Penta, who we talked about. I have Dragon Lee.
Penta. Yeah, I talked about the Lucha Brothers, so you talk about Dragon Lee.
Yeah. One of my favorite luchadors in the world. The other guy who I would say is on par with Takahashi as being all around one of the best junior heavyweights in the world. Dude is a spot machine, which some people will say is a bad thing, but not in the way that the Young Bucks are, where they draw attention to it. Dragon Lee is a guy who will go out there and do a corkscrew plancha to the outside, and just do it without any pageantry or craziness to it. He just does it because it's because that's what the moment calls for. He finds a way to make those high spots work within the chemistry and the structure of a match without drawing attention to them unnecessarily, and that's a highly underrated quality. And again, the guy is all around great talent as a junior heavyweight. Yeah, early 20s.
Like he's super young too.
Yeah, he's in that same family with Rush.
Yeah, he's in that. They're all every luchador is related to every other luchador in Mexico. Yeah. Feels like.
Yeah, he's 22. Yeah, he's the second Dragon Lee. The first Dragon Lee is the guy currently working as Mystico. Right?
Not to be confused with the Mystico who went to WWE and was a failure.
Yeah.
Who's now Caristico.
Yes, who's now Caristico, yeah.
And he's also doing good work, by the way.
Yes.
We need to have a CMLL episode, or at least a half episode, a deep dive into some. Whenever they have the anniversario, we need to get into have a good deep dive of CMLL.
That's coming up this weekend, actually. Yeah, because I read
bitch.
I read CERN. Yeah, 84th anniversary show is tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Bitch. All right. Well, you know what?
Well, we tried.
Oh, damn it! God damn it! Well, fine. We'll have Don Sal Cusimano on in a couple weeks to talk about CMLL. That's what we can do. Because neither one of us are big CMLL guys.
I know you're busy with college and you're not in the live thread right now, but we're bringing you in.
We're bringing you in, Don.
We're calling in a ringer.
Yeah, we're calling in the reliever. We're tapping our right arm, walking to the mound like a manager does when he's calling in the reliever.
Oh my God, that was funny as hell.
Really, this weekend?
Yep, 84th anniversary show tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern.
All right, let me pull up the card real quick.
Yeah, it's curious. It's a small card, but they got two mask versus mask matches. The main event is Gran Guerrero versus Niebla Roja, mask versus mask match. The Lucha Tres on the card is Princesa Suhei versus Zeuxis in a mask versus.
There's not even a Wikipedia article about it. I'm gonna have to go to the Google.
And then in between those two, we got a 6-man tag, which you'll like, given some of the names here. Caristico, Flip Gordon, and Volador Jr. Versus Mephisto, Satoshi Kojima, and Ultimo Guerrero.
Oh, my boy!
Yep. And then we got another 6-man tag on the other side of the women's mask versus mask match of Cranio, Rush, and Sam Adonis.
Hey, is that Princesa Suget from the Mae Young?
From the Mae Young, yes. Same one. Yep. Yeah, on the other side of the women's mask versus mask match is another 6-man tag: Cranio, Rush, and Sam Adonis versus La Peste Negra, which is Barbaro Cavernario, El Felino, and Negro Casas.
Oh, okay.
And then
so Negro Casas is the face here, I think.
I don't know.
I don't think because no team with Sam Adonis is ever the face ever in Mexico.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, but Negro Casas, I don't think has been a face since I was in short pants. So, what the hell is going on here?
Wow. And then we got two other 6-man tags opening up the show. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting anniversary show.
Ooh, I am all in on this Marco Corleone, Diamante Azul, and Violente match versus El Cuatero,
Forastero, and Sanson.
I am all in on Marco. You know I love me some Marco Corleone.
Yeah, you are a huge Marco Corleone fan. Yeah.
I may have to find a way to watch this.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I mean, that 6-man, Volador, Flip Gordon, and Carisico versus Satoshi Kojima, Mephisto, and Ultimo Guerrero. That could be unbelievable.
Oh, absolutely. That will be unbelievable. Let's call it what it is. That will be an amazing match. So, without a doubt.
And I couldn't tell you anything about the mask versus mask matches, so I'm not even going to pretend to BS you here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know Satoshi Kojima was awesome. I know Volador Jr., Flip Gordon, and Carisico are awesome.
Yeah.
And what's not to like?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah. So there's our 2-minute preview.
Yeah.
Of the second most important show of the year in Mexico, behind WrestleMania.
And then round out the top 20, the two people we already talked about. I had Kenny Omega at 20. Yeah. You had Candice LeRae at 20. So that's that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, some names we left off the lists. Didn't quite make the cut. You talked about Drew McIntyre. Didn't quite make it to yours.
Close.
Yeah. For me, the cutoff landed at Ishii, Neville, and Arisa Nakajima. Arisa Nakajima is my number 21, and the only reason why is because it's so hard to find seedling matches anywhere on the internet. But I need to see more of Arisa Nakajima because she is, from what I understand, on par with Io Shirai in terms of being one of the best female wrestlers in the world.
Okay.
And
that's a pretty big plateau.
Yeah, I mean, William Regal was when he went to Japan recently to do some talent scouting, and he went to Seedling to see Sari and Arisa Nakajima, and Sari actually just announced that she's leaving Seedling, so there's a possibility that she might be showing up at the Performance Center sometime in the near future. So we might have ourselves a little bit of a Joshi invasion coming soon.
Ooh, here we go. Real quick, I'm looking at the live thread. Mr. Matt, DSM, I'd like to see your list for all the criteria you excluded. Best promos, gimmicks. We have to make we should do a top 10 list for that. Maybe not 20, because we should do a top 10 list for that.
Yeah, top 10 list, I could easily.
Not next week, because we got the big No Mercy preview.
Yeah, we got the big No Mercy preview next week. But
and apparently a recap of the CMLL show we didn't know existed until about 30 seconds ago.
Well, I knew it existed because I had read Sermon, but yeah, I mean, it's
yeah. That's
the timing of that. You were like, we should do something for the
actually made me watch this show. Whatever the hell it's not. However I watch it. Honestly, I am really intrigued by this 6-man tag. So that may be my match of the week. Actually, my match of the week, I know what it is next week. Because next week is a big anniversary, Brother Chris, in professional wrestling. Yeah, I'll tell you what it is when we get there. To the day next week. November 22nd.
All right.
So
I will make sure that you tell me all about it.
I will. I already have it up. I have a post-it note on my desk at the office.
Nice. All right, so that's that. Last thing we have to go through real quick.
Horrible New Japan show?
Yeah, the recap of Destruction at Fukushima, preview of Destruction at Hiroshima.
Saw the main event of Fukushima. I saw 2 matches in the show. One of them was decent. One of them was god-awful. You want me to talk about the match that was decent or the match that was god-awful?
Well, let me just run through. Like, actually, honestly, there really isn't a whole lot to talk about in the undercard. Yeah, you talk about the matches that you've seen.
I saw Naito and Takahashi versus Ishii and Will Ospreay,
which was a great match.
I liked it a lot. I went 3.5. I think I went 3.5. It was the match of the night by a long margin.
Yes.
Which will tell you how bad this show was. The 3.5 stars was the match of the night by a lot. In fact, Chris, this may be the worst New Japan show in years.
Yeah, it was a bad show. Yeah.
The bottom performance.
Yeah, and on paper, it looks like it could be an okay show.
Yeah,
but
and nothing clicked.
Things just did not come together.
I mean,
unfortunate.
And nothing clicked. So, but this match was good.
Yeah.
Anytime I can watch Takahashi and Will Ospreay, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I hope they're building to a singles match at King of Pro Wrestling. I think they are because they're paired together almost all the time now.
Yep.
So I think there's something there.
And the Will the Cat Osprey
Yes.
thing is evolved on Twitter. Can I say
Yes.
my crowning achievement of 2017 on Twitter? Io Shirai posted a blog post, and the preview image for the blog post on her Twitter feed was of her with the cat that she had adopted. I replied to that saying, Io, when did you adopt Will Ospreay? Will Ospreay replies to me, I'm not a cat, but Io is tagged in that. So Io replies to him, you are cat. Cat emoji, cat emoji, cat emoji. Please do not fly and scratch. Will replies.
Basically, it's what Will Ospreay does: fly and scratch.
Yeah. Will replies, Io, no, I am a human, not a cat. And then Io, the best thing about this, Io takes a picture of her cat on its cat tree with a little little thought bubble next to it that says Will is a cat.
Amazing. I love Twitter.
Crowning achievement of Twitter in 2017 that I got that interaction between you and Will Ospreay.
I love Twitter because if I think about Twitter too much, I want to kill myself.
Oh, so God, yeah.
therefore, I need to kind of lose myself in this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that was phenomenal. That was amazing.
Good. This match was real good because it has four guys who are great. Let's talk about the main event real fast.
Oh, God. Do we have to?
This match was shit. Chris.
It was.
This match. Minoru Suzuki beat Mike Elgin in a lumberjack death match
to retain the never over
title in 19 minutes that felt like about 45 minutes.
It was such a slog.
I looked at the clock about a half dozen times, like, oh my God, why is this still going on?
Yeah.
It had every stupid trope. It had run-ins. It had dumb spots. It had nonsensical booking.
Yeah.
Here's the first line in the Observer. You ready? Because I have the Observer up.
Yeah, please.
It was a hard-hitting match, but there was so much wrong with it.
Yep.
And that's Dave, who loves all things New Japan.
The one redeeming moment of the match, everybody's down somewhere in the building because, like, at whenever it was, Taguchi Japan and Suzuki Gun just all broke down into fighting each other and just all over the fucking place. And there's one moment where Elgin and Suzuki are the only ones visible in or around the ring and just slugging each other. And Takashi Iizuka, with his fucking leash, just comes wandering down the ramp with this look of confusion on his face. It's like, yeah, Iizuka, I feel the exact same way. That was the only thing about the match that I found enjoyable.
At the end of it, the crowd just didn't care.
And rightly so. And rightly so.
If you're presenting, here's more from the Observer. You ready? People just didn't care. And if you're presenting wrestling, you want to take seriously. You can't make the officials be part of the clown show. Well, unless you're in Texas or Calgary, which Duke will get, because Duke is an old school fan like myself.
Yeah.
Suzuki Gun's junior heavyweights after the match beat down Taguchi and Ricochet as well, because why not?
Well, that's because
2.25 stars.
Yeah. Well, the reason why they beat down Taguchi
which is 2 stars too many. This match fucking blew.
Yeah. The reason why they beat down Taguchi and Ricochet is because in this event that's going to happen in about 6 hours, Taichi and Yoshinobu Kanemaru have a title match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships against Ricochet and Taguchi.
That's a horrible sounding tag team. Taichi, oh God.
Taichi and Kanemaru are normally a tag team together.
I know, but they're
both like, fucking god awful.
Like,
I mean, Kanemaru just doesn't give a shit anymore. He's just there to get his shit in. And Taichi, as we've talked about, is fucking awful at everything.
He does nothing well.
He is the legitimate dirt worst.
Yep.
So I really hope that Funky Future retains on that one. Let's talk about the rest of Fukushima, because there were some other things that were noteworthy on that show. War Machine retained the IWGP Tag Team Championship.
Apparently the match was garbage.
It was fucking awful. Tamatonga. Dear God. I have words, because this match was marred by two things.
Dave gave this match 1.25 stars, by the way.
This match was marred by two things heavily. One more so than the other. The one that was the lesser of the two problems. The early parts of the match, Tamatonga spent the early parts of the match was basically clowning around. Like, he was the first one in against I want to say it was against Lance Archer. And like he was just like talking trash, but then like acting all surprised and scared and making these high pitched like noises, and it's just like fucking calm down and wrestle the damn match. And then
make that noise again. That was funny as hell.
That was literally what he sounded like.
That sounds like Will Ospreay's cat? Will Ospreay.
It might as well have been. But yeah, and then as soon as Lance Archer takes a swing at him, he fucking ducks underneath and runs over and tags in Hanson. And just like a bitch. Like a fucking bitch. He just runs over and tags in Hanson. I'm sorry.
How about Raymond Rose flying? How about Raymond Rose flying knee on Tanga Loa that missed by about 6 miles?
Oh my god. Yeah.
I saw a gif of that and I was like, what?
That was not great either. But really, honestly, the bigger thing dragging down the match is just the fact that Killer Elite Squad is just
what the problem is with
garbage.
Davey Boy Smith? You know what the problem with Killer Elite Squad?
Killer Elite Squad is just garbage in general. But
Davey Boy Smith is not a brawler. He's booked to wrestle like a brawler. He's a technical wrestler, but they don't have him do technical wrestling shit because he's this giant white dude in Japan.
Yeah.
So they think he's like Bruiser Brody, but he's not good at brawling.
No, he's not.
Technically wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand a company that's so adamant about playing the guy's strengths. They have this guy do brawling shit.
I don't understand.
He's really bad at it, Chris. Yeah. He's terrible at brawling. He's good at technical wrestling. He's good at power moves, but he doesn't do them. He just brawls.
Yep. And Lance Archer is just awful. I hate that man. God. I hate that man so much.
Chris, this show is terrible. I can't get. I mean, again, I've only seen a quarter of it.
There was one other match that kind of helped to bring the event up a little bit, and that was the Never Openweight 6-man tag team championship match between LIJ and Chaos. The interactions between LIJ and Chaos in this match were actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was for a title that is basically an afterthought. They made it a good, worthwhile match. The linchpin of it being the impending match between Evil and Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. That's going to happen at King of Pro Wrestling. That's been like the linchpin of this feud, and I mean they made it work in regards to that. They had some nice callbacks there to Rocky Romero's feuds against Bushi and Sonata just hating everything and anything that Toru Yano represents. But yeah, I mean, other than that match and the Takahashi Naito versus Ospreay Ishii tag, there was really nothing good on this show. It was a really big waste of time, and we really are hoping that Destruction in Hiroshima does better. Let's see what's on this card. Like we already talked about the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match.
The three-way, the heavyweight tag team matches.
Three-ways happening again.
This is Hiroshima, right?
Yeah, this is Hiroshima. Yep, three-ways happening again.
Hiroshima. Whoops. Google doesn't help me because it gets me to the fucking atomic bombing. Damn it! But it's Destruction of Hiroshima, and I get the atomic bombing.
Here, hang on. I got
it.
You got it. Okay.
You got it.
Yeah. The final match ever. Final tag team match ever for Roppongi Vice, Beretta and Rocky Romero. And
that should be good.
It won't be good because their opponents are Chase Owens and Yujiro Takahashi. It's going to be.
No, I meant the main event of Tanahashi and Sabre Jr.
Oh yeah, that's going to be awesome. Yeah, the main event and the co-main are going to be great.
Yeah, I am cautiously optimistic for Kushida and El Desperado.
I am uncautiously optimistic for that match. I am highly confident that will be a great match because Desperado is.
Yeah, Desperado is the best part of Suzuki-gun, isn't he?
Yeah,
other than Suzuki.
Desperado and Sabre and Suzuki are the only things in Suzuki-gun that are worth anything. Everybody else in that stable is just trash and should go away forever.
Go away forever and leave now and never come back.
Yeah, Takamichinoku, go back to your school teaching people how to wrestle. Everybody else just go away forever.
How about teach yourself how to wrestle?
Yeah. That too, yeah. Well, Takamichinoku is also like in his 40s at this point, so he should probably just hang it up.
He had one of my favorite Raw matches is him versus Triple H from like 1999, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's like 6 minutes and it's awesome.
Yeah. And then let's see. This 10-man of Chaos versus LIJ actually should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Gedo, Okada,
Yano and Ospreay versus the entirety of LA. Yeah, that should be fun.
That should be.
This is like tonight, right? This is like
5 a.m. Eastern. Yeah. So I have to go to the post office in the morning to pick up a parcel. So I'm probably gonna wake up at like 6, watch as much of the show, and then walk over to the post office so that I can.
Yeah, I got nothing to do. I got nothing to do tomorrow. I'm meeting a friend for dinner, an early dinner at 4. Other than that, no plans.
I gotta try and avoid the horrible, awful line that will inevitably be at the post office near me in Brooklyn because it is a god awful line. Trust me when I say.
The post office on a Saturday, of course.
Yeah.
The only place worse is like the DMV.
Yeah, it's like the Brooklyn post office is just especially terrible, but that is what it is.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
And you'll have as we discussed the throngs of people walking to shul. To worry about too.
Actually, no, that's further south. So I won't have to worry about that in my area, the neighborhood. But so that's it.
That's it. Give us Kushida Desperado. Who wins?
My gut says Kushida wins, but I wouldn't mind Desperado winning.
That's fair. I think Kushida wins.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna set him up for a rematch against. It's either gonna be a match against Takahashi, or maybe it'll be against Ospreay. Like whoever wins the King of Pro Wrestling match will then call their shot for Wrestle Kingdom.
Tanahashi, Sabre Jr. Who wins?
I really hope it's Sabre.
I don't. Let me tell you why. The IWGP Intercontinental title is a drawing title. I don't think Sabre can draw. And I don't think it'd be as devastating to business as if Cody Rhodes won the big title. But I think it would blunt New Japan's momentum for a little bit. So, being said, Tanahashi, get your fucking arm fixed, you dumbass.
Yeah, like I'm really like if he doesn't lose it here, he better fucking lose it at no, not at Pro. They won't have him lose it at Pro Wrestling because they're not going to keep him off Wrestle Kingdom 12. But he better fucking lose it at Wrestle Kingdom 12 and then spend the next 6 months in a fucking hospital bed.
Yeah, no, that's no.
I'll go to Japan myself.
I meant the title. I'm not talking about his arm. I meant the title. He should lose. If he loses the title here, he should lose the King of Pro Wrestling.
I don't think he's going to lose it until Wrestle Kingdom because I don't think they have Tanahashi off Wrestle Kingdom. I think they've had him go. I think they have him go. They've had him go this long. I think that he.
Yeah, that's true. You're kind of pot committed at this point.
Yeah. Because that was the whole reason why they didn't have him drop it after the G1 or like immediately after the G1 or during the G1 for that matter.
True.
It was like they got to the point where it's like the G1 started, and at that point it was like, all right, if we don't keep him out of the G1, then it doesn't make sense to keep him out of Wrestle Kingdom. Because if he'd gotten the surgery before the G1,
this is why I keep you around, Chris. You're the smart one.
It would have kept him out of both
if he had the smart one.
If he had the surgery before the G1, so it would have made more sense then. But that is what it is.
You're the smart one of the two of us. You're the Spock, and I am the McCoy.
I like that comparison. That's a good one. All right. Plugs for days. Our friends over at Facelock Feministas and Not Your Demographic. Subscribe to them for all your wonderful feminist wrestling podcast needs. Earlier in the day on Fridays, check out Shooting Debris with Taker's Mania and Mr. Dr. Senju. And also, I don't know what's going on right now with Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. I believe they're happening over the weekends right now. Given Don Sal's school schedule.
By the way, Sal and Fizzy get your sumo stuff covered too.
Yeah, definitely check them out for your sumo coverage and lots of other good stuff. And we need to get ourselves affiliated with some other podcasts. We're working on that.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to have our big No Mercy preview show. We're going to have a special guest. I won't say who it is, but come back next week for a special guest. And all of the talk about No Mercy. We're going to have a special spotlight on the fucking disastrous feud between John Cena and Roman Reigns and why it was,
we saved our words for next week on that.
Why it is the worst possible move for business in WWE and what they could have done differently to make it better. That's for next week.
Next week is No Mercy. It is follow-up to Kevin Owens' shoot style headbutting Vince McMahon.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too next week.
And I guess maybe I should probably watch the CMLL show.
Yeah, we'll check out the CMLL show too. Yeah.
Tomorrow night, my night's open. I was supposed to go to the football game tomorrow night. Northwestern's playing Bowling Green, but
yeah,
my buddy's like, "We just go to a bar and watch it instead." And I'm like, "Sure,
mm-hmm.
we can do that." And I can be home in time to watch the main event of the CMLL show. Or at least
some of it. Yeah,
you'll get some drunk George tweeting.
I'm looking forward to that. It's always the best.
Always the best.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else, my friend?
That is all for us.
That's it.
So 28 in the books.
We love you guys. Thank you for listening.
Subscribe to us on iTunes if you are not already. The link is in the description of the video. And give us a rating and a review. Also, it will help us to reach new audiences.
Be like Meltzer, 5 stars.
Yep. Follow us on Twitter at 2guys1sport, number 2, number 1. Tell everybody else to follow us that you know, because we like having a bigger audience.
Yeah, and guys, you make the highlight of my weekend is talking about wrestling and having you guys listen and talk back to us. We love you with all of our cold, black, withered hearts. But seriously, you guys make the show. We don't respond as much as we used to in the live thread, but we do listen, we do watch it, and we do get ideas from it. So thank you for the listening. Thank you for having us be a part of your wrestling life.
I enjoyed the discussion that was going on about the Anoa'i Maivia family, Adam and
yes,
Duke. So,
yes,
yeah, it was good. That was some good stuff.
Yes, it was, guys. Thanks again. We really can't say it enough. You guys rock. Thanks for letting us be a part of your wrestling banter. That's Chris. I'm George. Don't work yourself into a shoot. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoy the weekend.
See you next time.